Hey y'all, it's Deb. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to give you some tips of how to handle your money as a newlywed. This is also great if you are newly engaged. So this is a really exciting time in your life, and it should be. If this is you, congratulations. Adam and I are going to be praying for y'all that as life moves forward, you two continue to grow together. So let's talk about some of the hiccups that can happen when two people come together and form a family, and now we've got to talk about something sticky like budgeting and income and all that stuff. Some people are really comfortable talking about it. Most people aren't. So the first thing I want to share with you is it's not his income and her income. It is their income. It is our income. It is our family, we as a team. The Bible says that when you marry somebody, you become one, which is fantastic. Only God could create something like that. And so we're not going to talk about his money, her money. It is our money. That can be one of the hardest mental hurdles to get over when you first get married. We're so conditioned in this life to claim things as mine and nobody can touch it. Nobody can tell me what to do with it. That's going to create a mountain of conflict in your new family. So let's start using the words our and we. So it's all fun and games to say it's not his money and her money, it's our money. Yes, that is true. Let's talk about debt. This causes a lot of conflict in marriages. So let me explain something really quick. Adam and I have been married for almost 20 years, and we counsel a lot of newly engaged and newlyweds in our home over money issues. I'm not saying they're all making mistakes. I'm saying we're trying to help set them up for success and eliminate very common arguments before they ever get started in this new family. So never, ever, ever weaponize what someone has done in their past and use that against them. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you and your new spouse are hanging out in a group of people, like a group of your friends, you're out to dinner, and you guys start talking about money. No big deal, it's totally fine. And you make a comment like, yeah, when we first got married, we decided that the first thing that we're gonna do is pay off his debt. You just really hurt his feelings and you embarrassed him and humiliated him. Don't do that. So let's switch it around with the husband and the wife. Husbands, when you bring in that wife, it is not her debt. It is y'all's debt. So if you're in a group of people and you guys are talking about money, you need to say, yeah, we're gonna put some things on hold until we pay off all of our debts. You just communicated to her that you are going to protect her reputation. And this goes both ways, husbands and wives. You're protecting their reputation. You're not talking smack about them in front of other people. Y'all are a team. You are not judging her or wife. You're not judging him for their past mistakes. It is huge, the terminology that you use. It doesn't matter if it's just the two of you alone or if you are in a group of people. Be very careful how you word things. The second part of that is this. Let's say that you both came into the relationship with debt, but one of you had far more than the other one. And I'll use Adam and I as an example. When we got married, I don't think he had any debt. If he did, it was under $1,000. It was very, very minor. Mine was a lot. I was young and dumb, made some really stupid mistakes, and that's okay. When we got married, even when we were engaged, he was already talking about our debt, our financial plan, our family, our home. He was already practicing that terminology. Also, after we got married and we got on this financial plan to get rid of my debts, never, ever, ever, ever in 20 years did he throw that in my face. Not ever. He did not question me about it. I mean, he was curious about, like, oh, just tell me what happened and where were you in life? Most of it was student loans, which is for most people, but never, ever, ever did he make me feel bad. He never threw it in my face, not ever. So, spouses, be very, very careful in your home, in budget meetings, on dates, in the car. Control what comes out of your mouth and your attitude about how you view that person. Because let me tell you, I had mistakes in this area, but whoever you marry, they're going to have mistakes in other areas because we're all sinful people. So be very, very careful about your attitude and pride ruining this relationship that you have simply because you haven't made mistakes when it comes to money. You've made mistakes in other areas. So we're going to be careful what we say. We're going to be careful about our attitude, and we are going to view this the same way that we would our home, our car. It's our debt. So be intentional with the words that you use. Okay, moving on. Whew, that's a hard one. Okay, moving on. One of the very first things that you want to do. So it's really exciting to figure out where you want to live. And it's really exciting to figure out who's going to work and who's not. And what's our family going to look like? How many children do we want? These are all the fun things. Let's talk about one of the not so fun kind of logistic things. Most of the time, women get very excited about changing our name. Not all women. I'm saying most of the time. We get really excited about it. It's a huge sign that it's not just me or him. Now we're a family together. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to change my name. It's not because I hated my maiden name. It's just because I could not wait to be married to Adam. I was very pumped about it. One of the things that newlyweds don't think about, though, is combining their bank accounts, y'all. Okay, I know a bazillion people do not agree with combined bank accounts. There's a million reasons why. There's not enough time in this video to cover it. I understand. I do. I get it. I understand. I see that point of view. I disagree with it, and so does Adam. We highly encourage married couples to combine their bank account, savings accounts, everything. You need to combine everything. So here's how it works in my family. Adam and I have one checking account together. We have one savings account together. And that's it. He has his retirement accounts. I have my retirement accounts. We have life insurance on him. We have life insurance on me, things like that. When it comes to money coming in, money being saved, and money going out, we are jointly on everything. When you don't bring those bank accounts together or you prolong it unnecessarily, even unintentionally, it can create this attitude of mine and his, and it's not. It's y'all's. You need to do it together. It'll also make budgeting way easier. I can't imagine Adam and I mean, we budget pretty quickly right now because it's just money in one account, money out one account, and it's super easy. I can't imagine having a budget meeting with him every month and trying to figure out 2 checkings, 2 savings, two expenses account. You're paying this car payment, but I'm paying this over here. I can't. I mean, I'm smart, but I ain't that smart. I only have so much capacity in here. And having more than one checking and savings account would drive me up a wall. But that's not why it's important. It's important because you are merging everything. Okay, so it's really important. If you don't feel that way, maybe research it a little bit more. Listen to Dave Ramsey and Rachel Cruz and what they have to say on the issue. You really, really, as soon as possible, y'all, bring your checking accounts together. Okay. Let me tell you something that you need to start doing or you need to be doing on a consistent basis, and let me tell you why it can be tricky, okay? You need to have budget meetings once a month, at least once a month, because, you know, like, oh, honey, I forgot. I got to get the oil changed in my car. We didn't budget for that. Can we sit down together and add that in? So possibly more than once a month, but you need to do it once a month. Let me explain something that I've noticed with all the newlyweds that we have counseled at this very kitchen table. Usually, there is one spouse that is willing to openly talk about everything and they want to resolve conflict as soon as possible, and because it makes them feel more secure. I am that person. You have another person in the marriage who, now there are different reasons why, but they will avoid talking about money or avoid talking about conflict or avoid handling the conflict because it makes them feel uncomfortable, or they didn't have a good model growing up, or they're really afraid it's going to result in a bigger fight. There's a million reasons why you'll have one spouse willing to do like all the talking and one spouse who kind of retreats. Okay, that's normal. But when it comes to budget meetings, I'm not going to allow you to have any excuses not to have them. You need to have them. If you are the person watching this who is more of the retreat, I don't want to talk about money, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. We either had a lot of money growing up and I don't want to talk about it, or we had no money growing up and I don't want to talk about it. It brings up painful memories. It just makes me feel uncomfortable, or I just don't want to talk about it. I want to be watching my favorite TV show. Don't do that. You can't do that. You can't put all of the responsibility of the finances on one spouse. Y'all need to be doing this together, which means you need to have budget meetings. Now, ladies, this is a really great excuse to have at least one date per month. So use this as an excuse to plan a date night. I mean, husbands, you can plan it too, but usually women are the ones who are like, oh, I can't wait to go on a date with my husband. You should do that. That's fun and exciting. So use it as an excuse to date each other. Yeah, you need to have budget meetings. Have your budget meetings. Okay, I'm going to mention this one tip that I wish Adam and I had done very, very early on, and we kind of didn't know any better. I think we didn't intentionally leave out this step. We just never really talked about it. When you get married, no matter what your financial situation is, please, for the love of all that is good, get some life insurance. Now, in our situation, I have been in the home not earning an income for about 20 years. There was a year where I had a job for a while and I loved it. It was just bad timing. So Adam has been the breadwinner for our entire marriage together. We didn't get life insurance, y'all, until my mama passed away about 7 years ago. And let me tell you something, that woke us up. And again, we weren't avoiding it. We weren't talking about it and then being like, oh, we don't need life insurance. We just didn't talk about it. Please, 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 please get life insurance. Now listen, okay, it used to be that it was cheaper to be cremated, and a lot of people would choose that to take the burden off of the remaining family. That is no longer true as far as I know. The research that I have done says that it's about the same amount of money to have somebody cremated and have a service as it is for the burial and funeral. There are hidden expenses in there that I did not know until my mama passed away. So if the only thing you do is get life insurance for about $10,000 to $15,000, you have just alleviated that burden from your spouse. Especially, now typically when we're talking about newlyweds and newly engaged, you guys are young, you're new in your career. You don't have, most of us don't have $10,000 to $15,000 just laying around. Not to mention, your spouse is going to be going through the worst thing possibly imaginable. You don't want that as a burden to them. I don't care if you have children or not. That has no bearing on it. And you're not necessarily getting life insurance so that your remaining spouse never has to work again. You don't have to do that. You are alleviating some stress, anxiety, so many complications in his or her life. You need to get life insurance as soon as possible after you get married. Okay, here's the last tip I'm going to share with you. I'm sorry that last part was morbid, but it's a part of life. Okay, let me share with you something that Adam and I have noticed as we've had newlyweds and engaged couples coming through our home. One of the things that we have seen, and I know Dave Ramsey talks about this too, but we're seeing it more and more now versus 20 years ago. Usually the temptation is that when you and your husband or you and your wife are newly married and y'all go get your first little home or your first apartment together, I'm not criticizing you, I'm just noticing what I see, okay? And we're gonna talk about how not to do that. Very often, debt will accrue when the new husband and the new wife want all the appliances that mom has, all the furniture that mom has, the nice car that my mom has. Now, when I say my mom, I'm talking about in the 50s to 60s range, right? So you're the newly married 25-year-old. And what is happening is y'all just got married and you're wanting the home, the kitchen, the vacations, and the lifestyle that people in their 50s and their 60s have. Y'all forgot they worked 30 years to get that stuff. Let me tell you, I didn't have, I think it was a KitchenAid. KitchenAids became a humongo thing right when I got married. Adam and I couldn't afford to come even close to a KitchenAid. Yeah, that was like, I remember thinking, oh, I can't wait till we can afford a KitchenAid. We have one now, let me just say it's refurbished, and we probably need a new one because when I make dough in there, it just, I'm happy with it and I'll use it as long as humanly possible. But my point is, your parents have stuff that they've worked 30, 40 years for. Of course they can go buy a brand new KitchenAid, or of course their car is better than yours. And you know, I gotta say, I like the way God works that out, because now they can afford to fly down and come see you and the children versus you having to spend the money to fly and go see them. Anyway, stop trying to have the home and the cars and the lifestyle that people in their 50s and 60s have worked their whole lives for. Y'all just got started. So our first apartment together, I'm pretty sure it was 600 square feet. The kitchen was so tiny, Adam and I couldn't be in there together. Bathroom, same thing. The bathroom was the size of a teeny tiny hotel bathroom. You're supposed to do that. That's what makes being a newlywed so much fun, because you're so happy you don't care. You're so happy to be living with a person you just don't care. And it grows you. It grows you as a team. And Adam and I can sit out on a date now. We just had a date. One of the best dates we've ever had in 20 years. We had such a good time. The whole time we were talking about what our marriage looked like. 20 years ago, we were broke, paying off debt. We had 2 babies in 2 years, fresh out of college. And I'm happy about that now. You know, I'm 43 and they're going off to college, which is fantastic. But we were broke. We were broke. Our apartments were tiny and just awful in the worst parts of town. Our cars could barely make it. You're supposed to live like that. That's what makes life fun. And you get to joke about it 20 years down the road. So resist the temptation to have what that next generation has been working their whole lives for. You will get there. This will help eliminate any unnecessary debt and some really dumb spending. So don't do that. If you were a newly engaged, newlywed couple and you came to our home for dinner, these are exactly the things that we would help walk you through. So I highly encourage y'all to get an older couple, older, wiser, better with their money, that loves you. Bring them alongside of you. Go have dinner with them. Talk about these things. If you have screwed up in some of these areas, it's okay. It's fine. We're all sinful people. We're all going to screw up. Ask them for help. Ask them for wisdom. And more than anything, ask them for accountability, so that when y'all get together, they are allowed to ask you, hey, have y'all been using the words we and our? Have you been treating her debt as y'all's debt? And have you combined your checking accounts? So all the things that we talked about, get another couple to come alongside you for accountability. It's very, very helpful and encouraging. I hope that anything I said today was great, and maybe pass this video on to a couple that's just getting started. Thank y'all for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.